Alright, gonna set up my new PlayStation 1. Just picked this up and I thought I'd show you guys this. So, what is it? Satoru Mikami is a 37-year-old who leads a rather normal life, working a corporate job and generally having no real connections to anyone, aka a super original character, and when stabbed at random on the street, he is reincarnated into a slime in a new world from zero, where he reinvents himself as the Slime Daddy, a completely overpowered slime of doom. But things get a little dicey when Shizu, Slime Daddy's one true love, arrives. That time I got reincarnated as a slime as a 24-episode fantasy anime based off the light novel of the same name by Mitzvah and Fuse. It is directed by Yatsuhiro Kikuchi, who has directed Infinite Stratos Season 1 and 2 and Saint Seiya. It is available on Crunchyroll and Funimation Now, with Funimation Now having an exclusive dub. So what is Slime Daddy? Well, it's a comedy. Or is it an action anime? Oh no, I got this. It's an isekai power fantasy. That's also a parody? Oh wait, no, it's fan service as well? Yeah, this show doesn't really know what it wants to be. The first 12 episodes of this series are the best at nailing home a certain tone, because I thought after the first 12 it was an isekai power fantasy with light parody and comedy. What does that even mean? I don't know, but after episode 12 this show turns into something completely foreign in comparison to what the first 12 episodes were. That first core has a nice pace to it. It had awesome stories like Shizu and the rise of Rimuru, aka the Slime Daddy. You went on a journey with these characters. You saw them level up and literally grow before your eyes. It was charming, but it also seemed like it meant something, was building to a stellar second core where we got awesome high-level fights and incredible payoffs. What I felt we got in reality was something that not only was underwhelming, but actually terribly generic and badly written. Every single piece of goodwill and build-up was practically thrown out the door as soon as Demon Lord Milam showed up, and in episode 14, don't quote me on that, I was quite enjoying this show as a power fantasy, but the shoehorning of tropes and other nonsense became too much to bear when she was implemented into the show. After that, there seemed to be more fan service, a huge shift from the character-driven action that the show seemed to be moving towards initially, and it in turn became bland and generic. To put it in another way, it became safe. Not to say the show originally was this great piece of art anyways, but it was like going to McDonald's for a nice unhealthy burger. It's an easy show to watch, and so is McDonald's an easy hamburger to eat. But ultimately, it became so homogenized that it became no better than a generic isekai like, just throwing a name out there, Gate. I mean, think of it this way. We start off the first 12 episodes with a highly emotional and meaningful arc where Slime Daddy dies horrifically, gets another chance at life, completely changes who he is to great success. He meets Shizu, who is his one true love. He levels up to extremely high levels, fights off cannibalistic orcs who are awesome. They gain their enemies' powers by consuming them. They're quite horrific. And compare that to overpowered slime defeats his foes in less than a couple minutes, giving us no payoff. Shoehorned in Lolly Demon Lord, who is just as overpowered and useless as Slime Daddy. A terrible final episodes that is more like a slice of life than an isekai. Shoehorned fan service scenes, did I say that before? Lolicon bait, and the general feeling that this is all just a freaking ad for the Demon Lord Milam action figure. And that's a shame, because this show had a fantastic build that was entertaining, and I enjoyed my time with it, knowing that this wasn't the best show ever. But once Milam got involved, it felt like the show just completely lost sight and ran out of originality, and in turn ran off the rails. When you have your last handful of episodes, Slime Daddy fighting effing teddy bears thrown at him by children, you've completely lost me. And then you lose me further when you have one of these little girls confess her love to Slime Daddy as well. It just becomes drivel by the end of this show. And contrary to what you'd think I'd say about these characters, I actually like most of the main cast in this anime. It's only a certain few that actually ruin pretty much the whole show for me. Like Demon Lord Milam, the kids that are introduced at the end of the show, and the constant random slew of bad guys turned allies after Slime Daddy just beats him into the ground in 1 second. Characters like, Gobta, who, while being a side character, has some of the funniest and most memorable moments of this show, like when they parody him going Super Saiyan. Hell, the best character in this show, in terms of just writing and depth, isn't even in this show for that long, and that's Shizu. She's got the best arc, the best resolution to her story, and has an everlasting effect on the show, with Slime Daddy taking her form, literally, and her mask. Slime Daddy, as well, is a solid character, and I want to say that. He does a lot of good for this show, and he fits being the show's lead. And while he has nothing really to his character, other than being a super generic power fantasy tropey kind of guy, the first 12 episodes of his journey are entertaining, and he has some really good parts in it, so I just wanted to say that, so I didn't sound too whiny there. And as for the general feel of the show and what you should expect, they're mostly done well enough for what this show is trying to achieve. While the show quickly homogenizes itself to appeal seemingly to lolicons, the characters in the first 12 episodes stay to the end. And I think that's a good thing to have, because at the very least, these characters are consistent with the original vision of the show and don't change like how the story changes dramatically after episode 12. But with that being said, I cared nothing for the characters who seemingly had no other purpose than for Slime Daddy to destroy them and eventually become his allies in the same episode they're introduced. That being said, the Orc Destroyer was an awesome villain for this show and probably marks the final time the show does anything interesting with villains or its characters. The art in this anime isn't what I'd consider groundbreaking or special at all, but the point of this show obviously isn't to wow you with its technical prowess, even though at times, like in the fight with Ifrit, it does kind of get close to that technical showcase. But otherwise, the art here is more in line with something a little bit more simplified. The backgrounds aren't what I'd call bad, though I would like to mention that the early episodes don't have great backgrounds, and they only get to a decent point near the end of the first core. And like I said, even though they're decent, they're not great, not bad, somewhere in the middle. But where this show does a good job with its art design is the characters. They're actually very well done, and problem characters like Slime Form Slime Daddy eventually gets a cool design, which is, Shizu's design, though this show does have a problem when the characters do level up. So let me explain this. The characters, they change form. So when they change form, something physical changes about them. And the issue here is that a lot of the characters who go through this transformation end up looking worse than they did before. In other words, I think their original form is actually better. For example, the lizard people, that's a thing I just said, and the Kijin are prime examples of this. They both look better in their first form we see them in than what they turn into, which is basically just really attractive versions of what they were before, and I hate that. Otherwise, I like most transformations and most character designs. I think the worst one in the show is Demon Lord Milam, who is nothing but lollybait, and her outfit literally makes no sense. From the get-go, we can see this anime really prides itself on good animation, and this is one of my favorite things about the show. The early fight between Slime Daddy and Ifrit, as an example, looks stunning, with the flame adding a real nice touch to the battle and how it plays out. Another is the battle with the Orc Destroyer, who is full of high-impact action that really gets you involved into what's happening on the screen. Even the simplest things, like the animation for Slime Daddy's facial expressions in his slime form, or, just his facial expressions in general. This show is really good at that, and making those moments and facial expressions stand out. While the action does lack greatly in the second core, you will get some good action in the first core for sure, and I think what we see in the first core is very good. For the most part, the score in this show isn't going to be one that stands out too much, but I think that's by design. The score here from the get-go seems like one you aren't supposed to remember, as it's to add to the show's dramatic and comedic moments in not really major ways. It won't get loud, it won't get quiet, and it won't drone on, but it is there, and it plays its part to a T. Whether you find that interesting or not is simply up to you. To me, I have no strong feelings about it one way or the other. It's there, I don't really care for it, but it doesn't take away from the show. It also doesn't add to the show either. This anime is a perfect example of an anime designed by committee. And what do I mean by this? Well, think of it this way. In terms of gaming, just let's go over to gaming for a moment. Destiny, Anthem, The Division, Fallout 76. These are games that all of them are designed by spreadsheet. They are simply overproduced games with check marks on things that people would expect from them. There's no real game design there. Slime Daddy is the equivalent of Anthem or Fallout 76 in this instance. A production committee saw how much isekai make in terms of their profits. They saw the popularity of the novels. They saw the popularity of selling these action figures. And so they went all in producing a homogenized anime and then started selling tons of merch for it. And they even promoted it in the toxic gacha mobile games market that is notoriously anti-consumer. But not only that, there are better isekai than this anime. Some of them are airing right now. For example, SAO does a way better job of being an isekai because it's not nearly as homogenized as this series. It also does the power fantasy way better. And if you want another example, Shield Hero, which is way better than most anime released in a season anyways, this anime isn't worth the 25 episode investment. Maybe at 12 episodes it is, but this is an example of an anime that doesn't know what it wants to be because it wants to be everything. It wants to make all of the money. So with that being said, I'm not recommending this. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, click on some of these videos, consider subscribing, also ring the bell if you subscribe, like the video, and if you have $1 to throw my way, you can support me over on Patreon to gain access to exclusive content. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching the video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.